There were two things on my mind before today's game. The first one was the game back at Carrow Road in October when Wolves were a class apart. They showed their quality and looked the title winners that they are almost certainly bound to be. And I got actually a bit of praise from Wolves fans for acknowledging that, even though it was, October. And the other thing that I tend to think of in terms of Molineux is the stand behind me there, which is where the Norwich fans and myself stood back in 2002 when Norwich beat Wolves in the Championship or Division 1 playoff semi-finals, albeit losing here, and the meltdown that ensued. And got to really sample both of those things tonight here at Molineux, where it finished 2-2 thanks to Nelson Oliveira scoring from 30 plus yards in what was basically the last kick in the 3rd minute of added time, so a couple of minutes earlier than on Sunday, but no less effective. A remarkable goal that was brilliantly taken by Nelson, who hadn't started, but came on for the last 30 minutes or so, replacing Dennis Shrabini, who was okay, but I think we saw tonight the jump that he's being asked to make in quite a quick time, so we may have to be a bit delicate with him over the rest of the season and see what he's got when he gets proper pre-season under his belt. But Nelson's goal almost owed a little bit to John Ruddy and not such great goalkeeping and letting the ball slide under him. But Wolves were 2-0 up after 25 minutes, a bit admittedly from a goal that needed the goal referral system on the line to give it, probably as a Jamal Lewis own goal, although I haven't seen it back after Jota hit the post. And Norwich were 2 behind from a corner, a header from Ndai that is a corner swung in, flicked header into the goal past Gunn, really straightforward despite a team of Wolves quality. And from then on we saw how good they are at countering, how well they move the ball, how strong they are, and generally how defensively strong they are too. A bit of criticism I saw from Norwich not looking like they were going to score tonight, which is generally a criticism we've seen, but tonight I think you can level it at the fact that Wolves have clocked up the clean sheets, and actually Nuno Santo made a lot of changes that made sure they were quite solid, and he stuck an extra midfielder in to make sure they were solid against Norwich, who had more possession today and actually controlled fair chunks of the game without looking too threatening. So you can forgive maybe Norwich not having a particular run of chances here, because no one has. Wolves haven't lost when they've gone in front either, so it all underlines how good this point is. If Wolves weren't so far ahead in the table, I would be a little bit worried for them, because with the game 2-1, Christoph Zimmermann almost immediately after Ndai's header repeated the trick up the other end from a Maddison cross. It was a wonderful little flicked header, and just as poor from Wolves' part as Ndai's goal was on Norwich's part. So from that point on, the game is in the balance, and Wolves have plenty of chances, really. They weren't struggling to create chances, most of them on the counter. They had some really good looks, and Norwich, be it sometimes by luck, sometimes by design, and some brilliant defending from Zimmermann closer, Reed, lots of players who were really digging in, Hanley. They managed to fend them off until Oliveira's very, very, very late strike. And in fact, that happened after Angus Gunn had gone up for a corner. But it was just remarkable that the last 10 minutes with the game in the balance, this place just sort of had a bit of a meltdown, really. And it was, eyes were fretting. There were refereeing decisions that they couldn't get their heads around, even though they seemed fair calls most of the part. In fact, the more dubious calls seemed to be going the other way from what I could tell, and with a referee in James Linnington who sometimes was swayed by the crowd. And it was the same in the dugout. There's obviously a lot of passion in terms of the Wolves dugout, but the exasperation and anxiety was bizarre for the situation they're in. Really, really was. And if they do go up, they're going to have a lot still to contend with in the Premier League next year, so they might have to be a little bit careful of that too. Let's just lighten that up a little bit. So it's really weird, because they are a team that should have no worries finishing the job this season, and I'm sure they won't. This is almost certainly just a wobble, because they do have so much quality at both ends of the pitch, but still I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little bit amusing seeing how the game panned out. In the wider scheme for Norwich, of course, brilliant goal for Nelson Oliveira, Christoph Zimmermann's first goal for the club, and a performance actually that, while it was short of that cutting edge up top, still plenty of heart in what they're doing. we're not quite seeing the same effects from Maurice Leitner that we were maybe expecting. I think they're still trying to figure that out, and I think he would be better. Again, it's probably a shame that Tom Treble's not about, because if he was playing in that number 10 role and switching more with James Maddison, we might see more of him, whereas he's having to come wide a lot of the time for the ball, and not really his game. He was on the periphery of it and wasn't able to really get involved, but he can't, because he would do that in the spaces Maddison's taking. So I think there's a little bit of work to go there. No Ivo Pinto in the 18 today either, basically because I think he said he wasn't quite ready for it, and this is obviously a tough place to go, so he didn't want to let anyone down. I expect we'll see him start on Saturday, if I'm being totally honest. Everyone came through tonight okay, and Norwich are now, I think it's 1 league defeat in 10 games. Admittedly, it is a run, I think, of 3 draws, so they have dropped a lot of points if you're one of those still hoping they'll reach the top 6, but just underlines really what a good position they're in. And if they can win some games, they've got a better run of fixtures coming up, and if they do pick up 3, 4, 5, 6 wins on the bounce, which is what it's going to take, maybe we can open up that conversation. But for now, I don't know what it is, but they seem to keep picking up these late draws, and the Norwich fans were paid for not leaving early. I hope none of them did leave early. This is a long way to come if you're going to leave early at Molineux. I'm sure that Wolves will go up as champions. I have no doubt about that. Where Norwich seasons goes, of course, we don't know yet, but at least it's going in a positive direction at the moment, and long may that continue with Bolton at Carrow Road on Saturday.